All right, everybody. Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. Hoping everybody's had a great and blessed day. It's me, Ant, and Michelle. We're here to, pretty much do our team training, our weekly team training. We actually have a great special guest today. And we just gonna kind of do like we always do, everybody, just an interview process, kind of get some tips from some of the great people in our company, in this industry as well. And tonight we had a pleasure of having my good friend, my mentor, Todd Rowland, one of the best in the whole industry. So if you don't have a piece of paper, I advise you to grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, you grab some great nuggets. We're going to go just bounce questions off of them. But like always, I always let the ladies go first. So I'm going to let Michelle start off and, ask Todd some questions and let Todd just kind of, tell us his perspective on those questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. So, Todd, tonight, we kind of want to come at this from the angle of helping our new reps and team members get started. I know Ant has a few on his team who are new, and I myself am relatively new since January, and therefore all of my team is fairly new, and we have a couple, Chris and Elissa, with us tonight. They're just getting started. So I would really like to know from you. It's kind of a two-part question, so I'll ask it all together, and then you can answer it how it feels best to you to do that. But I'm kind of wondering what you have found works well as you get new people started. What do you do like after enrollment? You've got them set up with their boss, they've got their pack on the way. What are next steps for you? And then how do you use that to create duplication for your teams?
Okay. By the way, I am coming to you tonight from I live in the country just north of Destin, Florida. And I don't have internet, so I'll run off of satellite. So it will seem like I'm a bit delayed when you ask me your questions. So I was just giving you a heads up that that's normal coming for me, especially at night when we slow down. But Andrew, Tony, Janelle, Michelle, Michael, all you guys, I'm just excited to be with you. I've gotten to know Anthony extremely well since the Lemieux merger, and he's an inspiring human being. Not just his own team, but he really inspires all of us. I mean, you guys know him, but he shows up to everything all the time, always helpful, always giving, never asks for anything. Just, I couldn't wait to get on here and give something back to him because he's given so much to us already. So all of you guys that are brand new, you couldn't be in a better place. That's what I'll promise you. If you want help, you're going to have it. If you feel like you're not being helped, it's going to be because you're not asking, because you're truly tied to some of the best in the world. But to answer your question specifically, Michelle, getting started is the hardest part for all of us, because most of the time this business and this transformation process from a health standpoint finds us, and we already have a lot of life going on. We've got kids, we've got our jobs, we've got our commitments. And if you don't have something crazy going on in your life, just wait a day or two, something crazy is going to happen. There's just a lot of stuff we're always dealing with. And you have to find your time. So when I'm trying to get a new person started, one of the very first things I will do with them via phone, via Zoom, if I can do it in person, I always love to meet with people in person. But I want to write down on paper some goals of what they want to get accomplished. I like to call it the why, and it can be both health and financial. So if their goal is to reduce inflammation or get rid of a lifestyle disease or lose weight or have more energy, I want them to write it down in front of me so I can see it, so I can help themselves stay accountable, because that's the hardest part for all of us in the getting started process. And then the second piece, hopefully, the new rep would have interest in transforming their future financially, not just from more income, but hopefully understanding that our income here is residual income, and really having a goal to get their life back and get life on their own terms, and maybe have a day out there in the future where they can wake up and do what they want to with their day instead of like a lot of us, having to do what we have to do with our day to make a living and those kinds of things. So that's where I really, people will let me. I want them to get very detailed and write down or draw out some things that they want, whether it's a new house, whether it's becoming debt-free, change of career, replacement of income if I've lost income in the last 6 months with everything going on out there in the world, whatever it may be. So those are the two big things, you know, what I want from a health standpoint, what I want from a financial standpoint, and then the actual getting started process. You know, they've got the business orientation system in your back office. You can watch those videos. You can always go to Research MOA, ARIIX Nation. By the way, I always get them plugged into the Facebook pages. And you guys, there's so many. Anthony's on top of that more than I am, actually. But the way I like to train people is I want to present to somebody for them. You know, I can always say if I sit down with somebody for 2 hours and give them a training, they're going to retain very little of it. But if they find somebody in their life that wants a transformation to health or financial, and I can do a presentation with them, we call that a 2-on-1. It can be via Zoom. It can be in person, however they want to do it. But that's the best training you can ever get. And I know that Anthony's on standby to do that with anybody, anytime. And I'm sure you are too, Michelle. I'm just getting to know you. But that's kind of the basics of getting started. There's a lot of little things that go along with it.
Thank you very much for that, Todd. What do you encourage them to do as far as beginning to reach out to people? Do you have them create a list of people to contact? Do you recommend an in-person launch type of a party, or like a individual Zoom party where they can invite their guests to that? What do you find works the best, and how do you encourage your team?
All the above. I'm very neutral. There's not always a specific way. I try to navigate personalities. Sometimes I run into couples or women that just love to invite a few people over to their house for a living room meeting, and that's a great way to start. Other times they're not so interested in doing that, but they may have a couple people that would meet us at a coffee shop or meet us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on a Zoom. So I like to call that the 2-on-1. But to answer it specifically, I actually have a 7-step process. And step 1 is establishing the why, which we discussed. Step 2 is gaining your knowledge. And gaining your knowledge is plugging into the Facebook groups, watching some YouTube videos. I'll let you guide your own teams where you want them learning from. But there's a number of sources you can listen to. And then step number 3 is making a list of people, a contact list. That list of people should always be growing. I always tell people the best way to do the contact list is with a yellow notebook and a red pen. Weird to say that with all the technology now, but that way you can just kind of keep it running at all times, because there's going to be people you'll think of next week you don't think of today. You can just jot down on there. And then the hardest part of our whole business is the approach. And it's one of the reasons that you want to really commit as much as you can that first couple of weeks you're a part of the company on both fronts. One front, plugging in to things like this or to other Zooms or to the Facebook pages and kind of learning from other people, seeing their stories, hearing their experiences. And you also want to commit on your own product, whatever the journey you're going to go on from your health standpoint. Go all in that first 2 weeks and get your own experience, whether it's reduction of pain, more energy. You know, I've just met Anthony in the last year, but I guarantee you, without even knowing him, he's been telling the same story for 8 years because he had his experience with his Blue Frog 2 with recovery times running his 200s and 400s while he was running track. And 8 years later, he's still telling the same exact story. So a lot of us will establish our passion for what we love these products for very quickly. And that's what's going to attract people to you. And then maybe the best advice I can give you as far as building a team is that if you initially approach people and you're being told no, you're probably sharing too much. It is not a new person's job to convince anybody to do or not to do this. It's just to share enough excitement with people that you know that they would give you 15 minutes to listen to somebody. And then that's where I would call, your upline, whoever that is on this, that knows what they're doing, and say, hey, when can we do a Zoom? When can we meet such and such at Starbucks? Sheila says she wants to do a little living room meeting one day next week. What day's good for you? And then you get that set up. And like I said, that's where the best training starts occurring, is now they get to watch you present, and they start learning, and they see how you answer the tough questions. And I love objections during the presentation. I don't want to know before they look, because they don't even know what they're saying no to. But so I always tell people, when you're running into issues getting people to look, I'll just say, tell them to bring all of their questions and their issues to me. You just find the time. They can ask me all the tough questions they want, because what people soon find out is all the tough questions are always the same. We're always dealing with no money or no time. Is it one of those things? Is it a pyramid? Do the products really work? What makes these products different than the 14 other things I've tried in my life that didn't work for me? And we all know that these products are better than all the other products they've tried in their life. They actually work, and they work highly effectively. And there's many reasons from a quality standpoint. And we know that this is not a pyramid. This is a business that's gaining traction, because everything is moving into a home-based business and direct to the consumer. We're on the forefront of where all business is going. They get a chance here to be on the front curve. They just need an understanding of what's really going on here. And then from a business standpoint, we all try to sabotage ourselves, thinking it's, we can't really go do something like that. That's somebody else. Oh, that's Anthony. He's got a great personality. He's going to go do that. I can't. But then that's where we get to, they get to know us, and they realize, oh, they really ain't that talented either. They just made a decision to go better their lives. And I might could do what Anthony's doing.
That's awesome, Todd. So I got through step 4. We got establish your why, gain the knowledge, make a contact list, and then number 4 is reaching out. What are 5 through 7?
So number 4 is actually setting a one-on-one or two-on-one presentation. Generally, for a new person, since the new person was the question, it should always be a two-on-one. I never want a new person trying to do this on their own initially. So that's step 4. Step 5 is creating that living room. By the way, let me go back to the two-on-one. Just a reminder, that can be anything. It can be a Zoom. It can be a coffee shop. It can be a kitchen table. It can be a construction site on the back of a truck. It doesn't matter where we share this. I always think it's easiest to share on other people's time without inconveniencing them. That's where they're least likely to say no. So I always just tell them, I'll go to wherever they are. Just tell me when I can come. And then, so that's 4. Number 5 is the living room meeting. And everybody won't do one, but I always want living room meetings moving on my team, because, and by the way, a lot of you guys came with the Lemieux world, and I always watch and observe and learn. And you guys do an exceptional job. I always see posts on your ARIIX Nation and different things. You guys are always in the living room. That's where you build friendships and you build trust and you get to know each other. And a lot of things come out of those living rooms that are intangibles. And then number 6 is some type of weekly infrastructure meeting. It needs to be a true presentation. There's a couple that run throughout the week, but you'll kind of want to run one for your team. And that way, even if there's only 5, 6, 7, 8 people show up, everybody just needs to know that at least once a week that there's a place where somebody could come and watch a presentation. And before the virus and before technology, we used to always do the weekly meeting in person. And I still do that weekly meeting in person in all the places that I can. And I know every area of the country kind of rules are different right now. So you have to find your own way depending on where you are. But in the areas I can run a weekly meeting, we're running one now. The reason for that is because when you get a group of people together and you've got some success, whether it's 50 pounds of weight loss, or whether it's somebody that's made their first $500 paycheck, or whether it's somebody that's made enough to walk in and quit their job. We run a weekly meeting in a little town of Andalusia, Alabama. And last week we had 2 people that had quit their job for the week. And we had 2 ladies that had crossed the 50-pound mark of weight loss. And that was when you get those in that weekly meeting, even if the person is there for a second exposure, they've seen it 2-on-1, but now they've come into the weekly meeting, that's where they get energized and they find out that it's really real and there's really people just like them doing it. And then number 6 is the weekly training or motivation, which this would fit that bill. What you guys are doing right now, you just got something where people can gain knowledge, learn how to do things a little bit better, ask questions, overcome issues they're dealing with. And then the next is big events. We are bigger. We do, so I call it 7 and 8, but it can be really the same thing. That's bigger regional events or trainings. And then the 8 would be the big event like we're getting ready to do in Dallas in September. That's where you just got to almost headlock your new people. And if you are a new person, you're going to be headlocked into Dallas and find out that we're really not a cult. We're a whole bunch of loving people that are changing our lives. And when you walk in and see 1,000 people whose lives are in the process of change, have already changed in a big way, that's when it becomes real and the belief level gets really high. And it's all those no's start becoming yeses, because people really are never going to join the company or the product. They're going to join you. So if I'm 10 out of 10 on no's, it's really not anything to do with ARIIX or the products. It's everything to do with your belief level at the time. And the way I explain it to people is, you'll never see a dog chasing a parked car. They're going to chase one on the move. So you can't get somebody to chase better if you're not even sure you're going to have better. And I know that's a transition period we all have to go through, but the quicker you can get through it, the quicker people are going to start following you and changing their life alongside of you.
That's all fantastic information. Thank you, Todd. And so you do this on a regular ongoing basis with your team, with all the new people that come in. So are you teaching them to sit with their new people and begin this same process then, so that you're creating duplication throughout your organization?
Yes. So there's never a specific time where somebody's going to be the lead person on the 2-on-1 or the lead person running a meeting. Those are really more, leaders can be creative, but a lot of them show up here, meaning that I generally never have to train somebody to run a meeting. There's a certain amount of people that will never run one, but they will love to attend one. And there's others that they'll be ready to run a meeting the 4th, 5th time they come. So you just got to get enough of your organization growing. And I just go and do the 2-on-1s. I go and help with the weekly meetings where different things start up in an area I can drive to. And then leaders emerge out. And then the 2-on-1s will start occurring without my presence. I'll go back to, I was working with a guy named Jerry Halsey in a town called Bruton, Alabama. And he was running his own meeting. I was showing up at it. I was still presenting most of the time. But we signed up a girl there named Kim Gray, who some of you've met. She's the one that had muscular dystrophy. For the first 6 months, she never did a 2-on-1 presentation. She only set appointments, and Jerry or I would go do them. And one of those appointments was with a guy named David Daltrey. And Jerry did the first presentation for him. I went and did the second presentation for him. He got involved. But within a month, he was doing his own 2-on-1s and running his own meeting. He's the one that created the Andalusia, Alabama meeting, which is about an hour from where Kim lives. Kim still does not do her own 2-on-1 presentations very much. She'll do them on a phone call and some Facebook stuff, but not really much in person. And she never runs her own meetings, but she'll show up at everybody else's and tell her story. So what I'm trying to say is I can't make Kim the presenter at the meetings, and I couldn't keep David from being the presenter at the meetings. You just have to kind of create the infrastructure, and those people emerge out and kind of find their roles. But they both are equally as important, because although David does the presentation and most of the talking, Kim's a very powerful testimonial that shows up and shares at his presentation.
So what I hear in that, Todd, is to learn your team's strengths and tap into the different attributes that people bring to your team, and allow people to run in the lane that they're comfortable with, and help them to grow if they want to grow beyond that, but utilize those strengths so that everybody is bringing value to your team.
You got it. You got it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, those are my questions. So I'm going to turn it back over to Ant because I know he's got a couple great questions for you. So thank you for your input, Todd. We appreciate you so much.
Melissa, you and Anthony both, y'all got way too much energy rating y'all for y'all at 10 o'clock at night.
It's because I got my kids to bed and I'm like, whew. Ant,
Awesome.
back to you, bud.
That was some great questions, and thank you so much, Todd, for those. Mine is just gonna kind of, piggyback up off of that. Question number one is, how important is it to hit gold and ultimate here with, with ARIIX? Extremely
Important. However, it's not so important that I bug a new person, because the one thing I've learned in the industry is I have to accept people where they are when they join. I'll do everything in my power to motivate, to activate, to get on a plug-in, to motivate. I mean, just, we do all we can, but I don't want somebody, because you remember the number one sticking part for somebody getting started here is financial. Number two is time. So if I put too much emphasis on ultimate, I could keep somebody from getting started here and going out and really changing their life forever. So I just want somebody to start. Is ultimate important? Yes. But generally speaking, most of our team upgrades to it at some point. Even past the 28 days, if needed, you can call Rep Services and get somebody's 28 days reinstated. That if they want another 28-day run to get to ultimate, they can, if they find value there later in their life here. So that's option one. They don't do that as a company because there's a couple of leaders. We have a partners council with ARIIX, and there are a couple of leaders out in Southern California that did not want that to be company-wide because they wanted to use it on their team to help new people stay motivated to get really going and up and running. So we can all call it in as leaders if you want to do that on your team. So it is important to go ultimate because ultimate can bring gold status with it. You got to call that into, if they go ultimate, just call and get gold status added. And the gold status obviously unlocks matching checks. So the other way to become gold status, as you mentioned, and this is the one that I really push on, but again, I don't push to the point that I would run somebody off, but getting 4 people personally sponsored in your first 8 weeks will also make you gold status. And so I want to do enough 2-on-1s to get them gold status. That's really not an exorbitant amount. Generally speaking, if we could show 7, 8 people, they may not all sign up on the spot, but within 8 weeks, 4 will generally be involved. So that's a fairly easy goal. And if you become gold status, the team lead bonuses, which is what you get paid on personal sales, that's the 30%, which is you have at Ultimate. The unlimited base pay, which is 15% on every leg you build here except for one. All that comes for joining. But the matching check, where we actually get a check match every week on people that we personally sponsored, the first 3 generations, which is 15%, then 10, then 5. You don't have to remember the numbers. I'm just giving you, but you do have to understand why it's important to be gold status. But those first 3 levels of matching check, they have to be unlocked, and going ultimate unlocks them for life, or going gold status, sponsoring 4 people in your first 8 weeks, unlocks those first 3 levels for life. Never got to requalify, never can leave you. And the importance of that is in our compensation plan, if you only ever signed up 1 rep, ever, 1 leg, 1 rep, if you're gold status, which obviously you need 4 to go gold status, unless you win ultimate. If you win ultimate, they got you gold status too. So if you have 4 reps, only 1 went to work on 1 leg, you're tracking at 15% their check. So if that person is a superstar and they go out and they make $100,000 next year, you would get $15,000 matched. Not to include all the people that they've sponsored, you'd be getting 10% match on their check, which I guarantee would be more than the $15,000. So if you have somebody that goes out and makes $100,000, generally speaking, you're going to get between the first 3 levels, $20,000, $25,000 in matching check. No compensation plan ever in network marketing has ever paid. I promise you, I know this industry inside and out. It's one of the things that attracted me to the company 7 years ago. It was the first compensation plan I'd ever seen in network marketing that a person could go sign up one superstar and be compensated for it in a significant way for the rest of their life. And, you know, in this industry, a lot of times people hit one great person, but they don't ever do much after that. And they don't ever make a lot of money because they don't have their second leg growing. You name all the reasons, depending on what you know about the industry. But this is a foolproof system here that, man, if you hit, I'll give you one example. There is a lady, her name is Ping Shi. You'll see her name pop up sometimes on Power Rankers. She used to be there a lot until the company really started growing. But she was and still is one of North America's top money earners. So there's 5 reasons you get in the Power Rankers, and income is only one of the 5. But she's about a $500,000 a year person in this company. And she's only ever sponsored one person. She did sponsor her other 3 to get gold status. They never did anything. But the young lady she sponsored was an exchange student from China. Her husband, they live in Michigan, and her husband teaches at the University of Michigan. And this little 23-year-old girl with no network marketing experience went back to mainland China and started building a business and built $1 million a year income that she was getting a 15% match on. She was the top money earner of China until somebody that she sponsored actually outran her. And that particular lady last year made about $3 million, which would have been on Ping Shi's second level. And 3 million times 10% is 300,000. So in matching check alone. So anyway, Fred, Dr. Fred, I've heard him make fun of her several times when she's present, that if she would just go build the other leg and open up the other levels of matching check, nobody could probably ever catch her from a pay plan standpoint. But she got all of China in our organization right now. And, you know, that can happen to any of us. It's, you know, it's always a far-fetched story when you're hearing somebody else it happened to. But this is the only business in the world that you just get up and share on a daily basis and then help a few other people share, that you just never know who you're going to bump into or who your organization is going to bump into, that the timing is just right in their life. It's just, I don't like to sell it this way because you can depend on yourself, but it is like walking around with a live lottery ticket every day, that you just never know that when you open your mouth and make the bet on the lottery ticket, somebody's life could be sitting there waiting on you to show up. They could have prayed you into their life and they go run with this in a big way. Like Anthony, I've never met your sponsor. So it sounds like, I mean, I've just got a hunch that your sponsor probably got distracted along the way, and here you are still running.
My sponsor's on the Power Rankers. He's just family time right now. My sponsor is Justin Martin. So Justin Martin.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
He's just family time right now. But he's still active. He's still around. Yeah, that's my sponsor. Then Brent is right there. And one more question, Todd. One more question I have for you. I heard you mention it earlier. It was a big event, and I know how big events are. You know, I've been involved since 2011, and I only missed one event, one big corporate event, and that was because of a track meet. I know how important events are, and you've had, you know, lots and lots of success, and I'm pretty sure you probably have never missed an event either. But how big are events for a new person?
You know, I've said it, and I've heard almost every major leader I've ever worked with say it, is that the first big event they went to was when their life began to change. And that for many of us, if we had not have went, our life might not have ever changed. And I'll just use a personal story. When I entered this industry, I was coaching high school football in Fort Smith, Arkansas. I had entered the company on borrowed money from my dad. I was 31 years old at the time. My wife and I we have 4 kids, but at that time we had 3. 2 of them were 11 months apart, 1 and 2 years old. And we didn't have a dime to our name. And I was about 6 months into the company. I had made enough money to know it worked, but not enough money to make any real difference in my life. But I wanted it to work. I still didn't know that it would, but I really wanted it to. And there was an event coming up, and my wife and I had already decided we could not go financially. and we weren't going. And I was sitting at my coach's office, and I was just kind of playing around. I don't know if it was on Expedia, Travelocity, or something. And the event was in Lexington, Kentucky, and I was living in Fort Smith, Arkansas, which are both really weird airports with very few good flights or prices. And I typed it in, and there was a ticket that popped up for like $175 on the days I needed it. And I called my wife, and I said, honey, I said, you're not going to believe this, but I said, I could fly to that event this weekend. And my dad said if I came, he would get me my ticket to go. And so I bought that airplane ticket, and I went to that event in Kentucky. And that was the day that changed my life forever. The event was 3 days, and I heard people speak from stage that day. I didn't know any of them personally. I just wanted what they had. I'd been praying, but I was kind of praying for the intangible. When you're broke and living paycheck to paycheck, you're kind of screaming out, but you know, God tells us if we have the faith of a mustard seed, we can move mountains. But sometimes when we're destitute praying out like that, we don't even have the faith of a mustard seed. We're just praying. We just want it. But when I heard those people speak, that was the first day I began to understand the power that God put in all of us to have faith and see things before they happen. Because I watched those people. And when I went back that next year when I was coaching, I would visualize those people's stories and their success. And I wanted it. And it was, I had faith. It was definitely less than a mustard seed, but it was enough that when I would pray at night, I had I don't know if it was a belief or for the first time, a visual hope that I could do better for my family. Because I was tired of being broke. I was so sick of living paycheck to paycheck. Last thing I'll say about it, Anthony, you know, the hardest place to ever get ahead is when you've never been ahead, because you've got to visualize something you've never experienced. My dad was a CPA, and I'd grown up in a semi-middle class family. We didn't have anything great, but I didn't want for anything either. I mean, I could get a new pair of tennis shoes, things like that. But as an adult, my kids were not living that way. I could not afford. My youngest son had started sports. My oldest son, he was like 6 at the time. Had a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, and about a 6-year-old at the time. He had started sports, and I couldn't get him the good shoes, and I couldn't do those things. And I always know that I had a little bit of a cheat because I had experienced it a little bit. So I knew that things could be better because I had better when I was a child. So I went to work really hard to get there as an adult to do that for my kids. So I always tell everybody, if you've never completely been ahead, you got to win the battle mentally. You got to go. That's where, and all that now reverts back to the event. You got to go look at other people who are getting ahead. Anthony, I think you sent this out today, and I can't quote it exactly. I just saw your Facebook page as I was driving from state to state today, but it was something about that. I think it was you that if you want to get ahead, you can't be hanging out with people that aren't ahead, or you can't be asking their advice. And because they will bring, you know, the worst people in my life when I first started this were some other coaches that were just as broke as I was. I mean, it was a popcorn party to them. And I had to quit bringing the business up around those people because they were going to suck the life out of me. So coming to the event, hearing the people, associating with people that are headed somewhere in their life, building those new relationships, that's what will get you where you want to be. That'll get you the faith of a mustard seed. And God's already promised in the Bible what happens if you have your faith of a mustard seed.
Awesome. Hey, that's it right there. And that was my 2 questions right there, Todd. That we just wanted to keep it, you know, short and sweet. We kind of just wanted to ask you a couple questions, Q&A. I don't think did anybody have any questions that's on here that had a specific question? If so, raise your hand. I even said it where you can unmute yourself. Maybe you can ask Todd real quick. But, you know, that was pretty much me and Michelle's questions. We just now we like to open it up. And if anybody else had like a getting started question that they had and you want to ask, feel free to unmute and ask it real quick. Go ahead, TJ. I see you on there.
Okay, my question, Todd. Thank you for joining, by the way.
Awesome, Tony. Yes, sir.
My question is number 4. You said share with enough excitement to get someone to give you 15 minutes for you to get the 2-on-1. So what is your initial share? You just call them real excited, say, hey, I got something. Do you send a video out? Because if you send a video out, then you have to follow up with the call that they might not answer. So what is your number 4? How do you go about that?
Okay, and by the way, we could do a full day's training on that one question, but I'm going to give you the really short version. The most success will always be found on a phone call. That will supersede a text, a video sent out, a social media, anything. And when you call the person, everybody's a little bit different. So I have found through the years that a health approach is an easier approach. Hey, I've lost 10 pounds, something like that. Maybe you do put a post on social media and they reach out to you. How did you do that? And that gives you the open door to now, message them, get their number, and then make the phone call. But the other approach is business. And you don't want to always approach health-wise because you're going to miss a lot of people that are praying for financial. So if you call with the business, just always relate it to you in an excited way. Just tell your story, Tony. Listen, I became a part of this. I'm working with a guy named Anthony, and he's down in Dallas, and we got some goals, and this company's doing big things. It's going to do over $500 million in revenue this year. We got a bunch of divisions of products from energy to weight loss and nutrition. And man, the products are making a huge difference in people's lives, but we got a chance here to get in the middle of all these transactions occurring. I can't explain it to you over the phone. Don't ask me a million questions. It's okay if you say no, but I want to grab 30 minutes of your life. You tell me when's good. And that's where I will direct them knowing the situation. So if it's my new brother that just signed up in Chicago, I'm directing them, to tomorrow to the Zoom. If it's a friend that I'm trying to get to look in a local area I'm living, I'm directing them to a place we might eat lunch anyway, or a cup of coffee, or mine or their kitchen table, or the construction site where I know they're going to be working tomorrow, where I know I've got them. I'm always going to go to them. Very seldom will I invite them to come to me and give them reasons to back out or cancel or things get in the way, because they will. I mean, grandmother will die 3 times in this type of invitation. We've all experienced it. So we want to go to them on their time where they have little wiggle room to escape us. But TJ or Tony, that's the hardest part. And if somebody does that 3 or 4 or 5 times and gets all no's, it's generally because they're over talking it and they're leaving things out like, I want to grab 30 minutes of your life. It's okay if you say no. I just want you to see it visually first. I can't explain it to you over the phone. Don't ask me a bunch of questions now, but once I give you a visual 15-minute overview, you can ask me all you want to. So I'll kind of say things to take some of the usual objections I'm used to hearing away. And that's something you'll want to coach that new person up on. Hey, we're trying to get 15 minutes of their life on their time. And I'll ask them some questions before they make the phone call to the person. Where would you normally meet this person at? Where do they work at? Is it an environment we can just go see them at work tomorrow if they'll give us 15 minutes? Or their kitchen. My favorite spot is the kitchen table. So if it's if it's good friends and associates, I'll say, hey, find out a time we can swing by there and meet them. And the last thing, Tony, is good to have both spouses present, because generally speaking, and we all know this, one of the spouses would be better at this than the other, because we generally marry different personalities. So you don't want to show the wrong spouse that will just be an automatic no, and the other spouse will be the one to really do it. And then generally speaking, the one that's going to really go do it is not the boss. It's the other one that's the boss. So you need the one that can give the okay to the one that might go do it. So as much as I can, I want to get them both present. That's not always possible. And I'll take one individually and then set the spousal presentation up from that initial presentation.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, we had a question come in the chat here, Todd. It said, how do you come up with your contact list? And so I'll add my part, and then you can add your part as well. Well, mine, I love to let people, I'm a big person on like, hey, yeah, you can write everybody you know, but I like to break it down a little bit more. I know my family, I know my friends, I know which ones are dealing with, things with their health, whether it be overweight or something of that nature. But I also know my friends that are like Todd, are like coaches. Like Tony's a coach as well. You know, TJ, we went to school together. We played football and track and everything together growing up. But I also know how he is. You know, he's the type person who will go to work, but also get off of work. And if he needs to make extra money, he'll go mow somebody's lawn. I like to call them my go-getters. They'll do anything. They'll pick up the second job. They'll do whatever for their family. And so I make that list of those type of people as well. People I know that are looking for something. They just in the wrong vehicle. And then also just, you know, just other people as well that I just know that I don't know, maybe their health standpoint, but you can also just go through your Facebook. And if you want, Michael, I also send you something. What I have is called a memory jogger. It starts helping you think of not only your friends, but their friends and family that you know through them. So, Michael, if I knew you, well, maybe you weren't interested, but maybe a couple of times I was at your house and I met your aunt, or I met your best friend on you know, or something of that nature. You start thinking outside the box, and then next thing you know, you have a list like I do, which is thousands of people. So any given time, I can always pick up the phone and start reaching out to people. But I'll let you answer that as well, Todd, in your standpoint.
Anthony, I just agree with you totally. I'll tell you one secret that I've learned early on in the industry is that we all will have trouble filling our day up with our own contacts. So the one thing I learned early on was how to become a good presenter and how to become available to people in my organization. And how to, I just learned how to say yes. Anytime anybody would ask for anything, yes, I can meet you tomorrow at noon. Yes, I can hop on a Zoom tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So what will happen is you've got a contact list. As Anthony just told you, the memory jogger thing is a real important deal because, believe it or not, years into this industry, I still think of people I went to high school with, kids I had coached that are now adults. I mean, there's just a million different avenues that we've lived our life through if you're, 40 years old or above. And there's you'd never run out of people to contact. But how you really build a big business here isn't by sponsoring 300 people, although you can do that. How you build a big business is you become a good presenter, and you're always presenting to somebody for somebody. So if you have 10 people that you've sponsored and they're all bad at it, but they at least get you one person to show next week, that's 10 presentations. And if you're a good presenter and you're excited and you've been to an event and you know it's real and you got the faith of a mustard seed and you get 10 presentations, man, in this business, you're off and running because you're going to sign up 3, 4, 5, and 10. And the next week you just repeat process all over again, except now you got more numbers working on that, setting up those appointments.
Awesome. And I believe that was all the questions there. So I think that's it. Well, I thank you so much, Todd, for taking your time out your busy, the end of your night to, hop on and give those golden nuggets. I believe they will help out somebody, and they will go and have great success just off of the knowledge you taught them today if they just apply it. That's something I always tell everybody. You have to apply, you have to apply the knowledge. You can have all the knowledge in the world. You could have took 2 pages of notes today, but if you don't never implement what you just learned, it'll never do anything. It just be like a book that collects dust. It's just there. You're not using it. So go use it. Now the next thing is action. The main thing is the main thing. You got to put action. You got to be willing to be bad before you're good and good before you're great. You got to be willing to mess up. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect on your first call. You probably never get perfect. I always mess up. Does anybody know? No, because the only person who knows who messes up is you. And that was something I learned a long time ago. Your friend don't know what you're saying to him or what you're talking about. Just have some excitement. If you got to do like I do sometimes before I'm about to make that big call, I turn on my favorite song like I was about to warming up for a track meet or a football game or a basketball game. I get excited and I get pumped up so I know when I call them, hey, I'm already excited. If that's what you got to do, then do that. Do whatever excites you. Think about something positive. I always encourage people, don't call anybody when you're upset or mad. When you're having a bad day, just kind of wait till you kind of cool off and get back to your zone. But yes, action. You got to go put action, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And thank you again, Todd. Thank you for all you do all the time, my brother. And I'm going to stop the recording and then allow everybody to unmute themselves and tell Todd thank you.